I'm Joyce Watson and I represent Mid and West Wales, which is two-thirds of Wales. I first stood for election to be a county councillor back in 1995 and I won, surprisingly, on a very female-driven agenda. I was a mother of a young son then and teenage daughters, and I just didn't see anybody talking about family life, about the things that affected basically women and children. So I thought I'd give it a go and was amazed when I won. I stood for a party and the support was, we'll deliver a few leaflets for you, which was useful. And basically it was my family that supported me. I then went on, and when I was elected there were 5 women out of 60 councillors, and we coalesced around each other, supported each other, and it grew in the next election. I came into the Senedd and the system is much stronger, the support was hugely different and better. You were part of a larger group where people did offer support, and I thought that I could go one further, so I'm now chair of the Women's Caucus. I offer support to women whoever they are, and I think it's a much stronger network now where people feel a little bit more engaged with each other. There's a real feeling, I think, here of sisterhood. I think the biggest challenge was suddenly realising you're in the public life. I hadn't really thought about that before. The biggest challenge was having confidence to speak and not feeling cowed by those people who'd been there a long time. And quite frankly, talking about things that you thought they must know better than you and quickly realised they didn't. I think here in the Senedd you can make change, and I think because there's only 60 voices get listened to as a consequence of it being a smaller environment. So I think the surprise is that your voice gets heard, especially compared to being part of a system before where it was very difficult for you to get your voice heard. What women tend to do is overthink sometimes, think, oh, what if I do this and I do it and I'm not happy with the outcome? Well, take it as learning, if that's what happens. Because there's always learning on the way, regardless of what you do. My biggest highlight has been the work I've done on trying to end violence against women and girls. I think we have really good events here every year, and people very bravely come and speak about those. There's huge learning that happens from that. I've encouraged male ambassadors with my work with the WI. That was a challenge. A lot of people didn't want men in the room, quite frankly, I'm going to be honest. But if we were going to end violence against women and girls, you have to have the men in the room. So that was a huge challenge, but a big triumph that we did find good men, and that has grown under the White Ribbon pledge, really, never to commit, condone or remain silent about violence against women. And it's been a big learning curve for men too, because many of them have said to me that they had no idea, how prevalent it was. So I think that work has been significant. I started up the Women's Caucus a few years ago, just at the end of the pandemic, quite frankly, and it's been fantastic. Women have really coalesced around the idea of really keeping women safe. That's been the main theme, and also getting more women into public life, getting more women elected. So we gave evidence, made history giving evidence to a committee, never happened before. And the other bit of history we made, that's history here for the Senedd, of course, we had an agreed debate on ending violence against women with no amendments and no vote, because it was a 100% cross-party agreement where everybody wanted to spoke and agreed on what they were going to speak on, and that was just such a positive, wonderful moment, really, here. I wish I'd also known that just because someone speaks loud, speaks fast, that they're not necessarily going to say anything more than you. So I think those are things that people need to understand. Your voice is as important as the next person's. So I think that's a really good starting point for anybody who wants to be a politician. Anyway, look at history. And before women were in Parliament, any Parliament in the UK, there was no talk about work-life balance. There was no talk about ending violence against women. There was never a conversation about how you manage your life. There was almost, if you looked at politicians, an expectation that they were all single, that they didn't have a family, that those things didn't matter, childcare didn't matter, how you applied working time, all those things were never spoken about. You certainly didn't hear about endometriosis, you didn't hear about the change, you didn't hear about period poverty, but all those things were happening. But somehow they weren't important enough to be mentioned. And what is good, since women have come in, everybody's now talking about it. But they came with changes. It wasn't just, let's have a conversation about work-life balance. It has resulted in policy changes and law. And that's the real difference about having women. So I'm one of the founding members, I've lived a bit of a life, of gender budgeting. So when budgeting happens, whether it's nationally or locally, and they decide that we're going to have a big investment economically, you need to follow the money. Who gains from it? Who actually gets the apprenticeships? Who gets the training? Are 50% of the population being left out because there's an assumption in engineering, for example, that men will get those places? So those are the things that change because we bring a different experience, and I don't think any of that would have happened without women in the room. Go for it, is what I would say. Go for it, but you need something that drives you. The driver can't be, I want to be a politician. There has to be some conviction with it. If you have something that drives you, that you really think you would like to change for the better, to have a wider outcome, then go for it. And also, if you don't succeed the first time, and I didn't, in either your selection or election, keep going. Learn from what has happened, take it on board, use it, and go again.